Open wide thine arms of love, Lord, I'm coming home. A preacher boarded a train one morning. He was on his way back home after he'd been in a long revival meeting. The train was crowded and there wasn't a lot of places to sit. So he took a seat next to a young man, and desiring to be friendly, he spoke about the weather. And after they'd rode for a long ways, the preacher noticed that the boy was crying. And he said, "Son, I don't know your name and I don't know your troubles, but I'm a preacher. And if you'd like to talk about it, I'd be glad to listen to you." And the boy said, "Preacher, a long time ago I lived at home with Mom and Dad. And I was young and wild, and I drank a lot. And I fought a lot with my dad. Until one day, things sort of got out of hand, and I struck my dad, and he told me if I didn't change, I was going to have to leave. So I left home that day. I slammed the door, told him I never wanted to see him again. That's been years ago, and I've never heard from home. But a few nights ago, I staggered into a little country church, and I sat down on the back row. And the preacher was preaching a message. He called it the prodigal son. And it seemed like that every word he said, it went right down to me. Then after a while, he made an altar call. He said, "Preacher, I couldn't wait to get to that altar." And you know, the first thing I wanted to do when I got up off my knees was to tell my dad what the Lord had done for me. But somebody once told me, when you leave like that, you can never go back. So I wrote my dad a letter. I told him I was going to be on this train. You see, this train runs right up in behind our house, right next to the backyard. And in the backyard, we've got an old apple tree. I told him if he wanted me to get off and come home, to tie a white rag around that old tree, that would be my sign. But if I didn't see it, I would just stay on and just keep going. And we're getting close now. I'm afraid to look. It's just around the next bend. And the preacher said, "Son, you don't have to look. I'll look for you." And as the train rounded the curve and came across the backyard where the young man lived, he said, "Son, there's not just one white rag, but there must be at least 50 white rags tied around that old tree. And standing underneath of it is an old gray-haired mom and dad with a big white bed sheet, waving it in the wind at this train, wanting their boy to get off and come home." It just goes to show you, no matter how mean you've been, no matter how far you go, no matter what you've done, you can always come back to the Father's house. Lord, I'm coming home. Lord, I'm coming